So my background is in filmmaking, but I found myself working at a nonprofit in Washington, D.C. that focuses on gender-based violence. When I started working there, I didn't realize that forced and child marriage is still such a huge problem in the United States. And the deeper I got into it, the more I realized no one really even realizes it's happening. So I decided to jump in and take the leap and make a feature documentary featuring survivors' stories to try and help really raise awareness.
Amazing. So it's based in the US then, the film? Oh wow, I wouldn't have thought that. The more you know. And how do you come on board the project?
I came on board through Kate, through the organization she worked with prior. They introduced me, and it was a great working relationship. Kate is very respectful, and she just really took the time to tell each of our stories individually and very personally.
Was it a difficult, you mentioned you're a survivor and that Kate was very respectful, but it must be very difficult coming forward and sharing something so personal with people?
Yes, it definitely is not an easy process, but it's one that needs to happen to raise awareness of this issue.
And what would you hope that people who see the documentary feel as they leave the cinema today?
Well, I just hope they really connect to all of the stories and really understand that it's an issue that's hiding in plain sight, that it affects women and girls from all different types of backgrounds, and that it's much more prevalent than people realize.
I mean, to a certain extent, it's really terrifying, but it's such an important thing to talk about and to make people aware of, and so, I felt compelled to do that, and to hope that, as more people become aware of the issue, that they'll raise their voices along with us to fight this and to hopefully end it.
And Bella, when did you come on board this film?
I actually came on quite late in the process. A lot of the interviews had already been done by that point in time, so my role was essentially to provide a creative interpretation of the stories, of Nina's story and the other women. So I essentially was watching all of the content and listening to the stories and hearing that, and then interpreting that in a movement piece which features throughout the film. So that was very interesting coming in at that point in the journey. Yeah.
And Nina, when you saw Bella's work, how did you feel about that?
I thought it was beautiful. It was, such a physical representation of the angst and the turmoil and the heartache that happens in that situation, but then also at the end, the lightness and the freedom that comes when you're finally free of it.
Perfect. Guys, what does it mean to show the film here tonight in Manchester?
It's amazing. It means everything because, when we can get on a scale that is more international, it really highlights that the issue is an international issue. It's not just an American issue. It's not just a UK issue. It is worldwide, and so it means a lot to have it here today.
I want them to think about the legislation and actually connecting with as far as abuse as well as just kind of thinking about how more about invisible problems and how they're not really addressed, and how a lot of things that may have seemed like these idyllic thoughts like marriage are not really solutions, but they are covering up other problems that exist.
And I'm definitely looking at it from a similar situation because the legal situation in the United States is absolutely atrocious. And this is a fundamental human rights issue that really needs to be addressed, especially in the context of thinking about, for instance, the Me Too movement and women's empowerment, which is absolutely essential for any kind of agency. And I see this as also really connected again to the sort of broader human rights issues that I've dealt with for the last few years.